Hey everyone, today we are diving into the world of letters of credit, also known as documentary credits. Now, a letter of credit is essentially a written undertaking from the importer's bank as per UCPDC 600 rules. It means the bank is promising to pay the exporter once the required documents are provided and the LC terms are met. In simpler terms, the importer's bank takes on the main responsibility to pay so the exporter can trust they will get their money. The importer still has to pay in the end, but the bank's guarantee makes international trade. Alright, now let's talk about the risk levels on both sides when it comes to different payment systems. On the exporter side, we go from the highest risk to the lowest risk. And on the importer side, it's the opposite, from the lowest risk to the highest. So if we lay out, it looks like this. The open account system is the riskiest for the exporter, but the safest for the importer. As we move along to things like document against acceptance and documents against payment, the risk gets a bit more balanced. Then we hit documentary credits, which are kind of in the middle ground. And finally, advance payment is the safest for the exporter, but the most risky for the importer. And that's the sequence we look at. Now let's get a bit more detailed about documentary credits themselves. In an LC arrangement, the bank isn't just acting as an agent. Instead, it's actively participating by guaranteeing the payment on behalf of the importer. This makes it a unique payment system where the exporter is assured they'll get paid as long as they present the correct documents, and the importer is assured that those documents will match the terms they agreed on. Importantly, the bank is primarily liable to the exporter, so it's not just a promise in theory, it's a solid commitment. And here's an interesting point. An LC is actually a non-fund based finance tool. That means there's no immediate outlay of cash. But if the importer defaults, the non-fund liability can convert into a fund-based one. In other words, if something goes wrong, the bank might have to pay out and then collect from the importer later on. So let's walk through the basic process flow of how a documentary credit works, focusing on the four main parties: the importer, the exporter, the importer's bank, and the exporter's bank. Firstly, it all starts with a purchase agreement between the importer and the exporter. Once they have agreed on the terms, the importer applies for a letter of credit from their bank. The importer's bank then issues the LC and advises it to the exporter's bank, which notifies the exporter. Now, with the LC in hand, the exporter ships the good and gathers the necessary documents, things like the bill of lading, insurance papers, and so on. Once the goods are on their way to the importer's port, the exporter hands these documents over to their own bank. The exporter's bank checks the document and if everything is in order, pays the exporter. Then the exporter's bank forwards those documents to the importer's bank. The importer's bank in turn releases the documents to the importer once they make the payment. Finally, with the documents in hand, the importer can collect the goods from the port, completing the whole process. And that's it for today's video. If you have any questions or want to dive even deeper into the world of LCs, like understanding all the documents involved, the different banks and their roles, and even the charges that come into play, just let me know. We'll be diving deeper into all those details in future videos. Thanks for watching and see you next time.